Game of Thrones Season 8 is still a long way off, but Maisie Williams has already begun dropping hints about what fans can expect from her character Arya Stark when it returns. The actress, who has starred in the HBO fantasy series since it began in 2011, has suggested that the fearless youngster could be killed off in the concluding chapter ahead. Arya Stark slitting Petyr Baelish aka Littlefinger's throat as her sister Sansa indicted him for treason. Arya is a warrior, and we've also seen her killing Lord Walder Frey using her face-changing ability that makes her one dangerous foe. She spent time in Braavos with Jaqen, who trained her as a faceless man. She's been one of the most iconic characters in the series, but the actress herself recently hinted a possible fate for her character. Will Arya Stark die? Maisie Williams recently sat down with Variety magazine to discuss what Game of Thrones Season 8 has in store for everyone. She particularly talked about her character, Arya Stark, and hinted that the girl will be in a lot of trouble in the final installment. As a hot-headed character, she teased that we will get to see more of this attitude in the upcoming season. That being said, it's possible that she might be one of the major characters to get snuffed as soon as the Long Night or the Great War kicks off. She describes her character as hot-headed and someone who jumps to conclusions, which fans should expect to see more of. You see that a lot this season, Maisie teased. She gets herself into trouble a few times. But while things may not sound too good for Arya in the final run, the 20-year-old admitted she'd like to see her settled down. She gets herself into trouble a few times. Maisie Williams. I just want her to be happy and be safe and for someone to look out for her, she told Variety magazine. She's become so independent, and she's got quite a hard attitude. I think it'd be nice to have peace of mind that she's being protected by an elder. Not sure who that would be. Maisie went on to add, she's had it rough, and it'd be nice for her to have a nice hunk. Is she going to survive? Arya Stark is a faceless assassin. My opinion on her is that she'll end up living in Season 8. Even in Martin's previous plans for the series, Arya ended up surviving. She also has a few more names to cross off her list, so killing her in Season 8 would be pointless. Although Arya Stark is clearly one great warrior, thanks to her sword, needle, and a survivor, fellow actor Kit Harington previously hinted that there will be a lot of major characters to get killed off during Game of Thrones Season 8. The actor, who plays Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, said that we should expect more bloodbath in the final season. Arya reached Winterfell quite early, and she didn't do much there. Her biggest role to play at Winterfell was to execute Littlefinger. Arya made sure she was the one to take his life after Bran helped them to find out all about his betrayals to House Stark. His execution was carried out in the finale of the season, and you couldn't help but wonder who Arya's next target will be. For now, Arya will not be taking part in the battle against the dead. She has a Valyrian steel dagger, and that pretty much is a confirmation of that. Arya is likely going to help Jon defeat the dead first. But, knowing her, she will continue on her killing spree once the Long Night is over. The most notable name on the list is that of Cersei Lannister. Now, we know that Cersei's fate has already been decided and that she'll be murdered by one of her brothers, but maybe that's not true after all. The show could very well head in a different direction. For all we know, Cersei could in fact be killed by Arya Stark, and she'll be striking off another name off her list. Valonqar means little one. Cersei always took it to mean that Tyrion would be the one to kill her. But, it could easily be Jaime, or maybe even Arya. It could also be that Arya is wearing the face of Jaime Lannister, and then she's going to kill Cersei Lannister. What I do know for sure is that Arya is definitely going to cross a few more names off her list. Whether she'll be the one to kill Cersei or not remains to be seen. In talking with Making Game of Thrones, Maisie Williams confirmed Arya hasn't forgotten about her to-dos. I think Cersei is still very much on her list. I think they're all still very much on her list. But at the moment she's sidetracked, she said. She'll always have that list, though. That's what keeps her ticking. At this point in the series, Arya assassinating Cersei would serve the greater good. It would still be personal for the Stark sibling, but it would be a boon for Sansa, Daenerys, Jon, Aegon, anyone who isn't a Lannister. She can support House Stark and meet her personal goals. She really can have it all. Will Arya Stark fall in love? The Winds of Winter is the sixth novel of the fantasy epic series A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, and theories have it that the book might have Arya Stark fall in love. Fans were quick to speculate that this might happen in the 8th installment of Game of Thrones. What's more interesting is that the is no other than her supposed half-brother, Jon Snow. The show is known for its incestuous relationships such as the Lannister twins Jaime, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, and Cersei, Lena Headey. Given the affection and loyalty she has for Jon, it's not impossible that she will eventually fall in love with him on. But another theory says, if you're all about the younger Stark sister finally getting a fulfilling love life on Game of Thrones, then whether or not Arya and Gendry are in love has been plaguing you for a while. Now, you might be asking yourself if Gendry and Arya, in Game of Thrones Season 8, will get together. Given that over 3 seasons have passed since the blacksmith rode off into the distance, narrowly escaping being killed as a sacrifice to the Red God by Stannis Baratheon, it seems a little fishy that he's suddenly back. But, honestly, this probably has more to do with his skill as a smith than any possibility of him becoming a Stark's lover. Still, you can't blame folks for wondering, since there's definitely an argument to be made for Arya or Gendry being endgame. The pair always had an emotional connection. Arya tearfully told the man with the ABS of Steel back in Season 3 that she would be his family when the lowborn illegitimate son of King Robert Baratheon explained his poignant reason for staying on to Smith for the Brotherhood without banners. And this line was significant because, back in 2013, Maisie Williams hinted to Rolling Stone that Arya may have feelings for Gendry. She explained that, when she was doing the scene, director Alex Graves said, when you say that last line, I can be your family, say it like I love you. And that's the take that they used. So, potentially, the two were always intended to be each other's intended, even way back then. More recent interviews also imply that Joe Dempsey, who plays Gendry, is eager for their characters to reunite. When the 30-year-old actor spoke to Making Game of Thrones, he stressed that his character senses Arya's a good soul. When he spoke to The Hollywood Reporter on the same topic in August 2017, he said he was hoping for an Arya and Gendry reunion in Season 8 because they seemed to get on. It was a nice banter between the two of them. It would be great to revisit that. Still, Dempsey made no bones of the fact that, given the actor's 10-year age gap, he's incredibly uncomfortable about the speculation that their characters may get it on. I'm acting alongside a child here, he said of his time filming Season 3. I was a 25-year-old man. He also stressed that their emotional connection in Season 3 could be attributed to them having a sibling-like bond, arguing, at that point in the story, Gendry really reminded her of her brothers and of home. That was the comfort with him. And, honestly, isn't there a more obvious reason why the blacksmith is suddenly back in the picture that was set up for the audience at the end of Season 7? The real emotional connection established for Season 8 wasn't between Gendry and Arya but Gendry and Jonathan on one level. This makes sense. They both believed themselves to be the lowborn illegitimate sons of important men. But couldn't this, in fact, be about supply and demand? Let's not forget who trained the man in his career, none other than Tobho Mott, a master armorer who is an expert in working with Valyrian steel. You might know him from the such hits as melting down and reworking Ned Stark's Valyrian steel greatsword ice into 2 different long swords, Widow's Wail currently Jaime Lannister's sword and Oathkeeper Brienne of Tarth's sword. If this is the man who trained Gendry, presumably the smith also has some of the same knowledge. And that's important. Valyrian steel kills White Walkers, for a start, making him a useful ally to Jon when it comes to crafting swords. There's also all that Dragon Last Jon has mined, the other material which can kill White Walkers. Presumably, this will be needed to be forged into swords, too. Given the last living son of Robert Baratheon's flawless credentials in this area, It seems more likely that he's appeared in the nick of time to craft some powerful weapons for the king in the north and help stave off